Hey, it's your boy Kai, and welcome to Kai Watches Gilmore Girls. Today, I'm going to be recapping You Jump, I Jump, Jack, which is season 5, episode 7 of Gilmore Girls. This is an episode that many people want to hear my opinion of. I watched it a couple days ago, and this is the first time that I had to actually take a couple days to really think about what I was going to say about this episode because there's a lot that I think I need to say, but I need to make sure I say it carefully because I don't want to make anybody angry because I know that this is so many people's favorite episode of the entire series. So I'm going to approach this carefully, and hopefully by the end of it, all of you still like me. With that said, if you enjoy what you're going to watch today, please be sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime that I post something here on YouTube. I do post here on YouTube before I post onto TikTok and Instagram and all those other platforms. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and you'll be the first to see all of my thoughts and opinions about certain episodes. If you like the Gilmore Girls, I have some Gilmore Girls merch that you can get. You can get some of your favorite quotes and situations from the show on a shirt or a bag or a sweater, whatever it is, you can get it. Just visit my website, thevibewithkai.com, and you can click on merchandise, and it's going to be right there. Also, if you like me just as a person, you can follow me on all of your favorite social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at The Vibe with Kai, where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. Once again, my friends, we are going into season 5, episode 7. You jump, I jump, Jack. Let's get right into it. The season or the episode starts off. First and foremost, I'm not a big fan of Lorelai's shirt here, her outfit. She's usually on point for me. Not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan of the heart thing that she was wearing in this scene. This one right here. Yeah. Not a fan. She's usually on point, but in this one, I'm not the biggest fan. But the reason I'm pointing out this scene right here is because we find out that Emily knows that Luke and Lorelai are dating, and she's a little upset that Lorelai did not say anything, which I find really interesting. That she's. I mean, maybe she just knows that she always wanted Luke and Lorelai to be together. If you think back to the first season, you remember when Richard was in the hospital and Emily was talking to Luke, and she had asked him if they had feelings for each other, and he was like, no, we're just friends. And I think she says something along the lines of, well, you're idiots. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why she's being very proactive about wanting to meet Luke, I guess. I don't know. Zach and Lane are he's finally like, hey, I think I like you. I'm ready to start dating now. And Lane is like, cool, all right, you want to go on a date? And one of my favorite moments is like them trying to figure out what they're gonna do for the date and him being so nervous and awkward that it just doesn't dawn on him that not only are they in the band together and they have similar schedules, but they also live together. And that whole exchange is actually really, really funny. Lane is my second favorite character in the entire show. She is my second favorite character in the entire show. Luke is my favorite, unless you live under a rock and you did not know that. Luke is my favorite. Lane is my second favorite character in the show. I am Team Dave. I do miss Dave a lot. But I think Zach is growing on me. He's adorable. His awkwardness reminds me of me because I am also incredibly awkward. So there's that. It has been 5 seasons, and this is Luke's first time at the Gilmore house. I don't know why that just seemed so incredibly significant in this moment, but this was Luke's first time at the Gilmore house, and his thoughts on the Gilmore house is exactly what I thought his thoughts on the Gilmore house would be. Just how excessive and elite it is, which I'll get more into that a little bit later about this episode. Emily, she honestly in this scene, even in this episode, but specifically this scene, and how she treats Luke this entire episode disappoints me. I'm not surprised though, but it is disappointing because it doesn't matter who Rory or Lorelai bring into this home, they always look down on these men that they bring home. We all love Luke, right? We all know Luke. We all know how much and how long we've been shipping Luke and Lorelai for the past 5 seasons. Emily in season 1 even recognized that Luke and Lorelai had feelings for each other and that they might be good for each other. But the way she talks about him and his diner and his intentions just seems a little not okay. It bothered me, but it wasn't surprising because anytime that Lorelai or Rory would bring somebody home, they would just turn up their noses. And this is one of the reasons why Richard and Emily are not they're not my favorite characters in the show. I love the actors that play them. I love the actors that play these characters, but please take that and put it to the side. I love the actors that play them. They are playing these roles perfectly. However, the characters themselves, I'm not a fan. And this episode really, really cements that. I don't like the way they treated Luke here. We all love Luke. And Emily was just like looking down on Luke as if he was the scum of the earth. And we all know that that is not the case. What does she call the beer? It was like nitwit juice. Nitwit juice. If oh man, not okay. Emily, not a fan of that. So Dean had, I guess, canceled his plans. Like him and Rory had plans to hang out. I guess he had to cancel because of work, which actually ends up working out because Rory got invited via this secret society, the Life Death Brigade, via a thing where she has to blindfold herself and get kidnapped to go for an overnight weekend stay at this Life Death Brigade thing. Dean's working hard. And let me tell you, my biggest fear. I said this to my friend Benny the other day, Gilmore Gay, when he was interviewing me about my thoughts on this episode, and I told him, I was like, you know what? And I'm going to get into more of this a little bit later as well. I feel like Rory is going to do to Dean what she did when Jess was around, but with Logan. And that's bothering me a lot. This was one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. This was actually a high point for me. So this is after Luke and Lorelai have left Emily's house, and Luke realizes how crummy, how bad Emily was treating him throughout this entire dinner that they had. And this is par for the course for Lorelai. So she was like comforting him about how he's going to feel on the entire drive home. And that just cemented for me their relationship and why I like Luke and Lorelai, at times, because she knows how to comfort him, and he is willing to be vulnerable around her, which is not something that we get to see him do pretty often. So I like this scene. This was the high point of the entire episode for me. Here's Rory being kidnapped again. Don't forget, she remember a couple seasons ago, I think it was season 1, season 2, when she wanted to find out more information about the secret society at her high school, and she got kidnapped, and now she's in college getting kidnapped. So yeah, if you're, oh man, I don't get it. I guess I'm just too needy. I guess I need to know the information. Don't just kidnap me and be like, trust me. No, you need to tell me where we're going. Am I packing a bag? What do I need to wear? Should I bring some deodorant? Should I bring a change of socks? I need to know, because I don't want to be kidnapped at all. Logan. Shout out to Zach and Lane and Brian. So Zach and Lane are on their first date, which is at the apartment that they reside in together. And Brian, bless his heart, not knowing that they're on a date, sits in between them. And I would imagine the same formation that they were in the night before when they were all just friends watching the show. And Zach and Lane inform him that they are on a date. And he's like, well, where am I supposed to go? And Lane's like, you can go in my room. And he's like, you never let me in your room. So he goes in a room. Bless your heart, Brian. Bless your heart, my friend. Zach and Lane were adorable in that scene. We'll get some more of that in a second. Oh boy, Life Death Brigade. First and foremost, this entire scene, I rewatched the scene with the captions on, and these people did, in fact, do that entire scene without the letter E. They did it. I watched it. They did it. It was quite pretentious, but it is what it is. Um, this whole Life Death Brigade event was really weird to me because it just shows to me like this whole episode was just about upper class being upper class, right? It was definitely kind of rubbing it in our faces, right? Because I feel like most of the people that watched this series, they probably don't think twice about it, right? Because like this is a show that you turn your brain off to, right? But that's also not my job. My job is to think twice about it and to just give some insight about how I feel about it. So if I offend anybody with my thoughts about this kind of stuff, I do apologize. I just hope you know that I do this because you are I don't recap the show. You already know what happens on the show because if you're watching this, you've most likely already seen this show or this episode at least. So you already know what happened, but like my job is to give just my thoughts on it. So like that's why people are following me because they want to know how I feel about things. And I feel like this whole episode was just like upper class rubbing their upper classiness in our face. you know so there's that. Rory here being a journalist, but I mean, she should have brought her recorder. She was taking handwritten notes. I mean, I guess that's how they did it old school wise, but not in the 2000s. But I mean, good for her for being a journalist. And I'm sure the article that she's going to write from this is going to be pretty good, I would imagine. But yeah, this whole thing just seems very uppity, and like that's not the world that I reside in. So it was a little weird for me. I'm not gonna lie. I do like though when Gilmore Girls takes us out of Stars Hollow and out of Yale and Chilton and all that. I do like when we get the episodes that are outside of that realm. So far, we've had episodes like this, like when Rory and Paris went to Florida for spring break. We have the episode where we followed Jess for his failed spinoff episode in LA. We have the episode where Rory and Lorelai go, to the inn. This is after they leave Max at the altar, which we won't bring up. But I thought this was very interesting for them to do. I did appreciate that with this episode for them to like actually take them out of the Stars Hollow area. With that being said, for a secret society, I'm curious, how are they getting away with this being so secret? Because they like at the end of the episode, like you'll see, they had like cranes and they have all these tents and they have a chandelier in a tent. How is it that secret? If you really, I want you to really think about it. I know this is the kind of show where you got to turn your brain off and just enjoy it for the warm-hearted feeling that it is. But if you really think about it, how are they getting away with it being so secret? So secret. Like, I don't think there's I don't think there's any way that they could do that. But that's just me overthinking, as always. I'm scared for Dean. I'm scared for Dean. Here's the thing. So let me just remind you that I'm watching this for the first time, which means that I don't know what happens next. I can only give my insight based on the things that I know, which is everything up to season 5, episode 7. I don't know what comes next. So I can't judge characters or situations or episodes based off of things that happen in the future. So with that being said, this bothers me. It does. Somebody had asked, well, I watched this episode live and somebody had asked me, or I brought up, I brought up how this dynamic between these two bothered me because Rory has a boyfriend. And somebody brought up that he doesn't know that Rory has a boyfriend, which I found to be very interesting. And it's amazing the things that we'll forgive main characters for because we like the guy, right? So like there's a lot of people that like Logan. So they're willing to forgive this flirtatiousness that's happening here. Let's not deny that there is flirtation happening here. A lot of people bring up this is the episode where Logan, helps Rory, step outside of the box and things like that. As a friend, no, because if there's one thing I do know, I do know they end up together. How they get to that point, I don't know. But my fear is that the way that they get to that point is that she's going to pull on Dean in this realm, the same thing that she pulled on Dean when Jess was around. And like, I'm just like, oh man, please don't let that be the case. I hope I'm wrong with that prediction. I really do hope I'm wrong with that prediction. Also, there's another reason why I don't trust Logan. There's another reason why I don't trust him. I don't trust him right now, at least, because I feel like, we're talking about this whole uppity world again, right? And what he's displaying here is this fantasy, this facade. His whole demeanor, his whole shtick is about secrecy and a facade. He is hiding things from people purposefully to get them to be more intrigued. What do you think Logan's endgame is here? Given what we know about him, how we were introduced to him, and how he, this big old rebel who feels entitled to everything. Let's not forget what Doyle said in the previous episode, how he just sunk his dad's yacht and it was okay. Like, it's fine, we'll just buy another yacht. Everything that you know about Logan up to this point, take everything that happens afterwards. I don't know what happens afterwards. Sure, he might grow a lot. Sure, that's perfectly fine. But I'm talking about everything that we know up to Logan to this point. Do you truly think that Logan's intentions are to just be friends? I'm going to say no. I think that he does have romantic feelings for Rory at this point. Whether he knows that she has a boyfriend or not at this moment, I don't know. But I don't trust him. I don't trust him. This is a good time to remind you that I do have a podcast. You can go listen to my podcast. It's called the Vibe with Kai podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can also watch it here on YouTube, wherein it's not always about Gilmore Girls, but sometimes I do use my podcast to talk about Gilmore Girls. And the past couple of weeks, I've gotten to interview a bunch of people from Gilmore Girls. I got to interview Shelley Cole, who plays Madeline on Gilmore Girls. I've gotten to interview John Cabrera, who plays Brian on Gilmore Girls. I got to do extensive, exclusive interviews with those two. Valerie Campbell, who's the key set costumer for Gilmore Girls. And next week, I'm going to be interviewing Rini, who plays Lulu on Gilmore Girls. I'm interviewing all these people to get more insight about their thoughts on the show and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in Gilmore Girls, or if you just want a podcast that's talking about good vibes and positive energy and things like that, things that'll help uplift your spirit, things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes, go subscribe to my podcast. Available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and here on the YouTube. This is so. At the end of Zach and Lane's date, Zach walks Lane to her door, and Lane's going to go into the room and, tell Brian that it's okay to come out. But they walk in the door, and Brian is just passed out. And apparently, once Brian is out sleeping, he is just out sleeping. There's no waking him up. So Zach picks him up off of Lane's bed and puts him on his shoulder, and they have their first kiss with Brian over. Zach has won me over. I'm not going to lie. I'm all Team Dave. I really am. But this moment was cute. I did enjoy it. I thought it was adorable. Zach has grown on me. I can officially now say that I ship Zach and Lane. She seems happy. I said this online the other day too during my live. I said, listen, we can all sit here and say, oh, I don't want her to be with this guy. I don't want this guy to be with her, blah, 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 right? But at the end of the day, if that character is happy or if that person is happy, who are we to say anything, right? Lane seems happy, and she wants Zach, and Zach was very adorable and awkward to her. And like, yeah, of course I miss Dave. Well, guess what? Dave got another TV show. Dave got another TV show, which probably paid him more money, and he was quite successful from it. Dave's not here anymore. And Lane deserves love, and they're giving her Zach, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Who are we to say any better? I'm a single man living outside of Philadelphia. What do I know? Good for them. Luke had decided that he's going to go golfing with Lorelai's father. Well, he didn't really decide. He was kind of forced to go. I don't know here's the thing. If I always joke how I want to marry my season 4, season 5 Lorelai. I want to marry her, right? And that's true. But here's the biggest difference between Luke and me. If Richard called me up and said, we're going golfing, I would say, hey, is there literally anything else we can do? Like, I'll go to the club, but we'll have lunch. I can't do it. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm not going to do it. I can't. I'm not going to do it. And then on top of that, obviously Luke doesn't have clubs, so he goes to the club, and Richard's like, where are your golf clubs? And he's like, I don't have golf clubs. And so they go out and buy golf. Do y'all know how expensive golf clubs are? And Luke, once again, this whole episode's about rolling in the money, where people just have money to spare like this. He just goes out and buy golf clubs. I mean, good for him. I'm sure. Oh man, and I do have a major problem with this entire situation between Richard, Emily, and Luke, which I'll get into in a second. But I do want to point out that Luke did go golfing in this situation. Oh boy. Okay, so the life death brigade at the end of towards the end, on the last day, they decided to go all out and do these type of crazy things that rich people do, I guess. One of which is to shoot paintball guns at each other as they jump off of catapults and stuff. If this isn't elitism, I don't know what is. If this isn't upper class being rubbed in our face, I don't know what is. Wearing tuxedos in a secret society. That's, oh boy. I'm trying to like approach this correctly here, because I don't want people to think that I hate this show, because I don't. I love this show. But good Lord. I don't live in this world. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's hard for me sometimes. Like a lot of people can relate, or they're able to turn their brain off for a little bit and just, accept it. But it's hard for me to do that because I don't live in this world. And it's hard for me to fathom even remotely living in this world. And stuff like this is just like, what? Is this what people do? Is this what rich people do? And I mean, I know the answer is yes. It's just weird. Shout out to the caddy of this episode, saving Luke on a number of occasions. I don't really have much to say than that. I just want to say shout out to this caddy for saving Luke multiple times in this scene, let alone this episode. You jump, I jump, Jack. Which, if you're not familiar with that quote already, I know a lot of people are gonna say, "You jump, I jump, Jack" is from Gilmore Girls, and sure, yeah, it is. However, you should also know that that quote is from Titanic, when Jack and Rose are trying to escape the ship when it's sinking. That's where the quote is from. That's where I knew it from. And I was curious how they were going to use it in Gilmore Girls. And now whenever I say "you jump, I jump, Jack," people sometimes will, like, particularly my audience, will be like, "Oh, that's from Gilmore Girls." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's from Titanic." But Gilmore Girls used the quote in reference to what they did here. What they did here was they had a Lord knows how tall this scaffolding was. Once again, I don't know how they did not get caught. They built this gigantic scaffolding in the middle of a gigantic field with a crane and a rigging system so that they can all this is dangerous. How they're all just casually doing this without getting caught and being in a secret society, I have no idea. Honestly, if you think about it too much, you're going to realize how impossible all of this is. But anyway, this is the famous "you jump, I jump, Jack" moment. A lot of people say that this is the crux of the relationship that I'm sure that Rory and Logan will end up in. A lot of people love this moment because they say it's Logan pushing Rory out of the box that she's normally in. But once again, like, we need to be careful here because I need to judge the show and certain moments based off of what I already know, not based off the stuff that might happen in the future. So just keep that in mind. This was dangerous. This whole moment was dangerous. I appreciate Logan for pushing Rory out of her comfort zone. That's perfectly fine. I totally understand that. And also, just so you know, fun fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but all of the dresses that were in this scene that all of the women were wearing, all of the dresses, we've actually seen them before. According to Valerie Campbell, who is the key set costumer for the show, and I also interviewed her on my podcast, she stated that all of the dresses that were worn by the females in this episode were actually the same exact dresses that were used in Rory's Cotillion episode a couple seasons ago. You remember that? Same exact dresses. They just dyed them. They just dyed them. But it's the same exact dresses. I thought that was a fun tidbit that I learned from Valerie. I thought that was really, really cool. I'm told, I'm not sure how true this is, but I'm told that in this entire golfing like sequence, you know, not in just this scene in particular, but while Luke is at the golf course with Richard, apparently Scott Patterson, the actor, was incredibly sick this entire thing. I haven't found anything to confirm that, but I'm sure it's on like a DVD commentary somewhere or something that I haven't listened to. But apparently Scott Patterson was just incredibly sick in this. And I heard that Rory was also incredibly sick during her scenes as well. Like I said, I haven't personally confirmed that, but people have been saying that, and it's confirmed somewhere apparently. I just have not confirmed it myself. So if that is confirmed, please just cite your sources. That way, people can know that I'm not making this stuff up. Okay, let's talk about Richard and Emily in this episode. Okay, so Richard and Emily in this episode, they bothered me a lot. They did. I mean, this whole episode really did. It bothered me because the way that Gilmore Girls talks about class is really confusing to me. Throughout this entire episode, Emily and Richard are just showcasing their upper class elitism, like in its worst form, right? And that bothers me so much. That's really weird for me, and I'm not a big fan of that. And Logan and the whole Life Death Brigade, they're doing the same exact thing, where they're showcasing this upper class elitism, except the only difference is that Logan's upper class elitism has a cuter face. It's more charming. It's more smooth. But it's still upper class elitism. And there's no doubt that the Life Death Brigade and Richard and Emily in this episode it's all about trying to break it into the upper echelon of society. And I can't relate to that. In this episode, Emily quizzes Luke all about his, mentality. Like, even when it comes to drinking beer, she calls it nitwit juice, and calling his diner rustic, which in Gilmore terms is an insult, right? Richard takes Luke out to this golf outing because he thinks that Luke should, turn his diner into like this franchise and take it around the world and make more money, right? And that just didn't rub me the right way, because This should be about Lorelai, and it's not. And that's probably my biggest gripe with Richard and Emily, is that it's not often about Lorelai. It's about something else. And this episode didn't like their reaction to Luke didn't surprise me at all. But it's disappointing because I want to like them. I do. And people say to me all the time, Emily has a really good character arc, in this series, which I'm sure I'm going to see at some point. But so far, 5 seasons in, I have not seen it. Emily in season 5, episode 7, is the same exact Emily as Gilmore Girls season 1, episode 1 to me. She has not changed at all. If Luke and Lorelai were first started dating in season 1, episode 1, tell me that Emily would not have reacted the same exact way. Tell me that Richard would not have reacted the same exact way as they did in this episode. And that's what bothers me the most. They have not changed to me at all. But that's just me. That's just me. So at the end of this episode, we get Rory. I guess she was accepted into the Life Death Brigade, and she got her gorilla mask and her bottle of champagne, and she got her camera, which has photos of her doing the jump, which is adorable, I guess. So good for her. But honestly, I watch this and all I can think about is Dean. I know that sounds weird, and people are like, Dean cheated on his wife. Okay, yeah, he did. But like right now, Dean and Rory are together. And I'm not going to root against their relationship, based off of information that hasn't happened yet. Right? So, like, I have no reason to root against Dean and Rory right now. They seem happy. Is their relationship perfect? No, but name one relationship that is. So, yes, I'm still Team Dean. Is he perfect? No. Did he cheat on his wife? Yes, of course. But he's always loved Rory. And he's trying his best to make it work. And I can't help but feel bad that I have this weird feeling that she's going to break his heart. Here's the thing though. Like I said, like for those of you that don't know, I've never seen this show before. I'm watching it for the very first time. So for all I know, I might be dead wrong and he's going to do something that's going to break her heart and she's going to call it off. I don't know. I can only tell you what I know right now. And right now I just have this really, really weird feeling and I'm not a fan of that feeling at all. So what did I think of the episode? What is the score that I give? Don't hate me. I give it a 7 out of 10. Like, once again, I know this is a lot of people's favorite episode, but it's not mine. It doesn't crack my top 5. Please don't hate me for that. When I say that it's not my personal favorite, that is not a knock against anybody who this is their favorite episode. This is not me saying, oh, you're wrong for having this as your favorite episode. I can see why people like it, but I'm really curious. Do you like the episode because of the episode itself? Or do you like the episode because it sets up things that you know about in the future? Things that characters do in the future. How much do you like this episode because of the episode itself, not because of what happens in the future? My view on this episode may change once I see, in the future. It might be like, oh, well, this episode was important because this happened. And now, this set up something that happens in the future. I don't know what happens in the future. I know what happened in this episode. So if this is one of your all-time favorite episodes because you're a Logan fan and this is the first time that, that Logan and Rory are at their peak in their relationship, that's fine. But I also don't know that information yet because I've never seen the show. So I can't base my opinion off of anything that hasn't happened yet. So right now, I'm giving this episode a 7. To be completely honest, I probably would have given it a lower score if I didn't if I wasn't scared to get punched in the face by Gilmore Girls fans. I'll be honest with you. People are saying that this is an important episode, so it gained about 1.5 points because of that. I probably would have given this like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10. I'll be honest with you. That's just me. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime that I post something here on YouTube. I posted here on YouTube before I posted on TikTok and Instagram and all those other places. So check it out here first. You'll be the first to see my thoughts on the episode. You can also follow me on your favorite social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at The Vibe of Kai, where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. My friends, thank you so much for watching. As always, God bless and good vibes.